In the mist-soaked Highlands of Scotland, where the air carries whispers older than the stones themselves, a secret has been buried within bloodlines for over 1,000 years. The wind that sweeps across the glens has witnessed battles, betrayals, and oaths of loyalty sworn in fire and iron. But beneath it all lies something even older than clan names, older than Scotland itself, DNA. What if the truth of who the Highland clans truly were has been misunderstood all along? What if the blood that forged Scotland's most powerful families carried origins far beyond the rugged Isles? For centuries, clans like the MacDonalds, Campbells, MacLeods and Sinclairs have proudly traced their lineage through chiefs, warriors and kings. Their tartans and crests are marks of identity woven deep into Scottish heritage. But modern genetic research, through projects like the Scottish DNA Project and the People of the British Isles Study, has revealed something extraordinary. The story written in their DNA challenges much of what history once taught us. Scientists discovered that the ancient Highland clans were not purely Celtic as long believed. Many lines trace back to Norse Vikings, Picts, and even ancient Iberian tribes who sailed north thousands of years before Scotland was ever named. Before we unravel those revelations, remember, what you're about to hear is all verified through modern DNA and historical archives. This is not legend. It's science uncovering the truth about bloodlines once thought unbroken. And if you're fascinated by how Ancestry can rewrite history, make sure to subscribe to GenealogyX, where stories like this bring the past back to life through DNA. Now, let's go deeper, into the code of the clans themselves. When researchers compared Y chromosome data from Highland men with ancient samples from Viking burial sites in Norway and Orkney, the results were shocking. Entire branches of the MacLeod and MacDonald clans shared genetic markers identical to Norse warriors buried 1,000 years earlier. These weren't just passing influences. These were founding fathers. The genetic signature known as haplogroup R1a, commonly found in Scandinavia, appeared again and again among clan descendants, proving that much of what we call Celtic Scotland was, in truth, shaped by Norse bloodlines. Yet not all surprises came from the north. Some Highland DNA carried markers linked to Basque and Iberian populations from the region that is now Spain and France. This suggests that ancient seafarers, perhaps Neolithic settlers, migrated north along Europe's Atlantic coast, reaching the British Isles thousands of years before recorded history. These early peoples blended with local tribes, giving rise to the Picts, whose mysterious symbols still adorn the stones scattered across northern Scotland. The Picts were thought to vanish after Viking invasions, but DNA evidence reveals they never disappeared. They became the Scots themselves. This blending of blood created the complex tapestry of the Highland clans, Norse conquerors, Celtic warriors, and Pictish survivors merging into a new identity. But the deeper scientists looked, the stranger it became. The clan Sinclair, for instance, long associated with legends of the Knights Templar and the mysterious Rosslyn Chapel, carries a genetic trail leading back to both Norse and Norman ancestors. Documents suggest that the Sinclairs arrived from France during the 11th century, yet DNA shows that part of their lineage had already been in Scotland centuries earlier. How could this be? Were ancient lines reconnected unknowingly through time, or did the Sinclairs carry an ancestral memory deeper than history can record? And then there are the Campbells, one of the most powerful and controversial clans in Scotland's history. For centuries, they were known for political cunning and military strength. But their DNA tells a story of unexpected diversity. Many Campbell men share haplogroup R1b, the most common in Western Europe. But within it lie unique sub-branches that match samples from Iron Age remains found in Western Scotland, indicating continuity stretching back over 2,500 years. This means that even before the age of clans, the ancestors of the Campbells were already rooted in the same soil. In their blood, the line between myth and memory vanishes, but DNA has revealed darker truths too. Some clans long believed to share a common ancestor were found to be genetically unrelated, entire family trees rewritten by science. The MacGregors, outlawed for centuries, once claimed descent from the royal Alpine line, the Kai, same lineage as the first king of Scots. Yet DNA analysis found that some branches of the clan were actually adopted families, who took the name MacGregor for protection or allegiance. Their blood told a different story from their banner, a reminder that clan identity wasn't always written in birth, but in loyalty and survival. Imagine the emotional shock for descendants who spent generations believing they carried royal blood, only to discover through DNA that their lineage began elsewhere. Does this revelation weaken the clan's legacy, or does it deepen it, showing how identity endures beyond genetics? What would you feel if you discovered your ancestors weren't who history said they were? Even the royal lines of Scotland have seen their share of genetic revelations. Studies tracing the descendants of King Robert the Bruce suggest that his lineage, too, may not be as straightforward as chroniclers claimed. Haplogroup testing of known descendants shows connections to ancient Irish Gaels, reinforcing the idea that the Scottish crown's blood was part of a larger Gaelic network that once spanned from Ulster to Argyll. In other words, the Scottish royal line was not isolated. It was born of migrations and unions that linked multiple nations. The islands tell an even more haunting story. On Orkney, DNA extracted from Viking graves revealed that nearly half of those buried there were not Scandinavian by birth, but local women who had married Norse men. Their descendants still carry mixed genes today, a living testimony to the merging of conqueror and native. This interweaving of blood forged a new type of Scot, neither wholly Viking nor Celtic, but something unique to the North Atlantic. When you hear a surname like Gunn, Sinclair or MacLeod, you are hearing echoes of both axe and harp, saga and song. One of the most unexpected findings came from mitochondrial DNA passed from mothers to children, which revealed that while the Y chromosomes, the paternal lines, often traced to Norse or Norman origins, the maternal lines were overwhelmingly local and ancient. This means that even as new male bloodlines entered Scotland through conquest or migration, the heartbeat of the land remained distinctly Scottish through its women. The mothers of the clans, the silent weavers of lineage, ensured that the spirit of the Highlands endured in every generation. As more DNA samples pour in from across Scotland and the diaspora, the genetic map of the Highlands continues to shift. Clans once considered isolated turn out to share markers with faraway groups, from Ireland, Scandinavia, even Central Europe. These findings suggest that the Highlanders were never cut off, but part of an ancient network of migration and exchange, connected by sea routes long before the age of castles and kings. But perhaps the most startling discovery lies in the realization that some Highlanders today carry genetic fragments, linking them to prehistoric hunter-gatherers, people who lived in Scotland over 8,000 years ago. Their remains, found in caves on the western coast, contain DNA sequences that survive in modern Scots. In a very real sense, the blood of the first Scots still flows in their descendants. When a modern-day Highlander walks through Glencoe or gazes across the Isle of Skye, they are not merely visiting their homeland. They are walking in the footsteps of their own genetic past. And yet, even with all these discoveries, many mysteries remain. Who were the true founders of the Highland clans? Were they chieftains, warriors, or refugees from forgotten kingdoms? Could it be that the divisions between clans, those centuries of feud and loyalty, were in fact built upon shared bloodlines deeper than anyone ever imagined? DNA now suggests that rival clans sometimes descended from the same ancient ancestor, their feuds born not of blood difference, but of power and pride. So what does all this mean for identity? For centuries, Scottishness was defined by surname, tartan, and loyalty to the clan chief. But science now reveals a more profound truth, that the story of Scotland is not one of purity, but of mixture, of waves of people who came, conquered and stayed. The strength of the Highland clans was not in isolation, but in adaptation. The bloodlines that endured were those that embraced change, absorbed new peoples, and evolved. That is what makes the Scottish DNA story so uniquely human. It's not a tale of one people, but of many becoming one. If this journey into the hidden genetics of the Highlands has sparked your curiosity, remember to subscribe to GenealogyX for more true, science-backed explorations into ancestry and the secrets that live in our DNA. Because every drop of blood carries a history, and every test result is another chapter in humanity's great story. As the mists roll again over the Highland hills, one question lingers: how much of our identity is chosen and how much is inherited? If DNA can rewrite centuries of history, what might it still reveal about who we truly are? Perhaps somewhere in your own genes, a forgotten clan waits to be rediscovered. The past, it seems, isn't buried. It's alive, whispering through our blood, waiting for us to listen.